Hello there and welcome to Brian Lomax's Movie Talk. I watched two killer crocodile films recently. They are Rogue and Lake Placid. Lake Placid I'd seen before, Rogue was a first time watch. And I thought, why not do a video in which I compare them, contrast them, let them go head to head, so to speak. And the thing is, both of these are really good films, and it's actually quite hard to call which one I prefer. Lake Placid has more of a comedy element. It's like a comedy horror. It's very entertaining. It focuses on four main characters. You got Bill Pullman and Bridget Fonda. They're kind of like the probably the main characters. They're the ones that are obviously going to have like a love interest thing going on. Bridget Fonda's a bit floopy in this, maybe to the annoyance of some people. I think she's got that kind of Ally McBeal quality about her, which kind of is because it's written by David E. Kelly, who wrote Ally McBeal. But yeah, the guys in this are actually quite funny, quite entertaining, especially Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt. They play these two characters who, throughout the film, are kind of at each other's throats. They're not on the best terms with each other, but not in a hateful way. It's a very playful way. It's a very entertaining way. So yeah, a lot of comedy, but some really good horror stuff as well. Not out and out gore or anything, but enough to call it horror. Some good crocodile kills in there. One involving this guy on a boat who gets his head just clean bitten off. Again, it's quite amusing as well because of the way it's timed. The way it comes out. So yeah, good film, entertaining. And then we've got Rogue, which is very much the opposite of that, in that it's a very serious film. It's quite a dark film. It goes more for tension rather than comedy. And I think as well there is more of an element of research having gone into it. I feel like this is more faithful to reality, I guess. I mean, I'm not saying this by any stretch is a realistic film, given some of the things that happen, but it certainly feels more realistic than Lake Placid. I mean, the film opens with what is essentially like a wildlife documentary footage, of this crocodile doing an attack on another animal, and that kind of sets out the stall right from the bat. That this is serious. They're doing it as realistic as possible. And I think the effects throughout the film kind of show that through. They tried to make this as realistic as they can. And we get to see where the crocodile kind of makes its home, makes its nest. And when we're in there, those scenes are really tense. But also, like I say, it feels authentic. So that's really the main thing. It feels a lot more authentic than Lake Placid does. Also, I will say that the main lead female character, played by Radha Mitchell, is a lot more believable as well. Someone I think I warm to a bit more. She feels very real, more like a real person rather than Ally McBeal. So yeah, I think I like her character more than I like Bridget Fonda's. But I like Bridget Fonda. I've got a soft spot for Bridget Fonda because, well, when I was a teenager, I had a bit of a thing for her, to be honest. But yeah, growing up now, I think her character is probably not the best written in Lake Placid, whereas Radha Mitchell's is. I like her character. She's a strong-willed woman, and she goes through some stuff in this film. That's another thing about Rogue, is that it's not afraid to put its characters through the ringer. Some of the main characters do go through some stuff. They take their knocks. It's got Sam Worthington in it as well, who I think is a really underrated actor. I know a lot of people kind of say he lacks charisma and all that, but I actually think he's got quite a bit of charisma, and I like his performance here just as much as I have in plenty of other things. Quite an unsung actor, I think. But the main star of this film, of Rogue, is Michael Vartan, who Alias fans will know from that show. That's probably the thing he's most known for, TV. I've never really been that big of a fan of him. I don't think he's a bad actor by any stretch, but he's not someone who grabs me. He's not like a headliner. I see his name in the credits. It doesn't make me want to rush out and watch it. But he does a pretty decent job here of someone who's a bit kind of can't be arsed with life kind of thing. He's this journalist who's out in the Australian wild back to write essentially a report on it, a story on it. But yeah, I like the journey he goes on. I think the relationship between him and Radha Mitchell's character, again, feels more believable than that of Lake Placid. And yeah, I like that the film has a lot more characters, so it doesn't just focus on a small core group of 4 people. It's got a whole boatload of these people, so naturally you think basically all of the people who are annoying on there are the ones who are just going to get picked off first, and we're just going to be left essentially with Michael Vartan and Radha Mitchell by the end. But it actually doesn't play out like that. I won't say any more than that, but yeah, I was surprised that it didn't go down that route. Now, it's directed by the guy who did Wolf Creek. Let me just check on that. His name is Greg McLean. I always forget his name. But yeah, Greg McLean. I think he does a really good job directing this. It's considerably low budget for a Hollywood horror film, but yeah, does a really good job. I didn't like Wolf Creek, so going into this, I was expecting something a bit more gnarly, a bit more twisted, and a bit more, yeah, unpalatable, I guess. Not that, seeing people getting eaten by crocodiles is entirely palatable, but it's more entertaining. It's tense without being, unpalatable is the only word I can think of right now. But yeah, that's it really. So you got on one hand, you got Rogue, more authentic, a lot darker, a lot more tense, and then you've got Lake Placid, which is directed by Steve Miner, and it goes more for entertainment value. It kind of feels like a Friday the 13th movie, actually, just with a crocodile rather than Jason Voorhees. It's set on this lake, so you instantly think Camp Crystal Lake. But yeah, I mean, again, Steve Miner directed a couple of Friday the 13th movies, so hence there is that comparison to draw as well. But it's more entertaining, There's a lot of humour, characters that just, really entertaining, particularly, like I say, Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson. Brendan Gleeson, one of my favourite actors, actually. And so if I was asked to call, given that I'd give both of these films a 4 out of 5, if I was going to rate them, if I was to call which one I like most, I think I'm going to go with Lake Placid. Like I say, it is very hard to call, but I think because of how serious Rogue is, I think once you've seen that a couple of times, it might wear a bit thin. Whereas with Lake Placid, I have already seen it a few times, and I was surprised at how well it held up. I was surprised at how entertained I was by it. But like I say, not much between the two. But if you like your films more serious, maybe Rogue is the one for you. If you've seen either of these films, please do comment below and let me know what you thought about them. And also tell me which one you would pick. If you've seen both of these, which one would you say is your favourite? Lake Placid or Rogue? Let me know down below. And until next time, crack in.